Excuse me, what do you want to do tonight?
Same thing we do every night, Pinky. Try to take over the world.
Welcome to the My Life Counts podcast show, where we talk about anything dealing with mental health. My name is Jared Jones. I'm your mental health coach.
And here we go.
All right. Look, I'm excited about today's show. Let's go ahead and get started. I want to start with this parable. All right. And if you've ever heard of a parable is a story to prove a point. And so this is how we're going to start. This is called the parable of the lottery winner. And I want to take two lottery winners. Okay. We're going to say one guy, they hit for $350 million, right? I mean, how many people would love to hit the lottery for $350 million? Okay. And so we're going to have these two lottery winners and they hit for the exact same amount, $350 million. Now, if you know anything about the lottery, then you know fees got to come out of that. Taxes got to come out of that. And different things, right? So you're not going to get $350 million. And so one of the lottery winners, he gets, turns in his $2 ticket, goes up to the place, gets his lottery winnings, and realizes that he's not getting $350 million. And as a matter of fact, he's only getting about 100, let's call it 180, right? And so when he realizes he's getting 180, all of a sudden he's angry. He's upset. All right. And he's like, yo, I ain't even get my money yet and y'all already stealing from me. I thought I was supposed to get 350. How I ended up with 180, $180 million. So he's upset, right? He goes home and then he starts getting all these phone calls. All these family members who come out the woodwork. Oh, I'm your second cousin. I'm this, I'm that. And he's like, yo, now I'm getting all these family members I've never seen before, never heard before. But now all of a sudden they care about me. Then he has all these people coming up to him. My son is sick. I'm struggling. I'm this and that. And then so he has all these people coming at him. And he's like, man, yo, like this is stressful. And then he goes to church, and then the church is like, hey, tithes and offering, above and beyond. You got 10% plus, anything would help the church, right? And so he's starting to get real frustrated and real upset about what's going on, right? Then all of a sudden his parents start asking him for money. They struggling, and he's like, yo, there's a biggie line, more money, more problems. And so this is what's happening. He turned $2 into $180 million. And now all of a sudden he's feeling all of the stress, all of the more money and the more problems. He's feeling all of it. Right. But then we have another guy. This guy hits for the exact same amount, $350 million. But he walks away with $180 million. And so when he walks away, he says, man, I turned $2 into $180 million. He said, man, I get to help my family. Man, I get to help my church. I get to help some of these people who come into me asking for help. I get to help my parents pay off their house, make sure they're good and debt free. I get to live the way I want to live. I get to work. If I don't want to work, I don't have to work, but I get to make that choice. And this money gives me freedom. Now, here's the thing. Two people have the exact same experience. The exact same thing happens to them. But they see it two totally different ways. Why is that? Well, the reason for that is because of the key to life. And the key to life is perspective. right? It's never what happens to you. It's always about how you perceive what happened to you. You know, it's interesting. You can have two people, for example, you can have identical twins go through a loss. Let's say they lose their mother, and identical twins, they lost their mom, and they both take it two totally different ways. And the reason why we take things different ways is all about perspective. Now, why am I bringing up perspective? Because I think it's the key to life, and it's the key to a good life, right? No matter what's going on in your life, how you perceive it is the key. So, for example, a lot of us have been going through COVID for the last couple years now, right? And a lot of people are depressed over it. A lot of people have divorced over it. A lot of people, have suffered loss over it. There's a lot of pain and suffering dealing with COVID. But there's also some people who have looked at COVID and said, you know what? But it's allowed me to reevaluate some things. It's allowed me to do some things that I probably wouldn't have done if it wasn't for COVID. It lit a fire. It gave me some sense of urgency. For me, for example, it gave me something that, I was very comfortable doing what I was doing. And so if I would not have had COVID, I probably wouldn't have pushed as hard to get to or go to where I'm going. Right. Because I was in a comfortable place. And so everything is about perspective. How you view what you're going through. And the thing is, we have been trained to view things negatively. I can recall back in the day, we used to have funerals. And many people are familiar with a funeral. When somebody dies, somebody passes away, and then you go to the church and everybody's dressed in black and everybody's mourning over the loss of this person. And I remember when I was younger, I went to funerals a lot. I remember late 80s, early 90s, going to funerals probably every quarter, every 3 or 4 months, going to a new funeral, close family members, friends, all that stuff. And I don't remember when it changed, but I do remember a change. And what happened was we went from going to funerals to memorial services. Now, I don't know why. I don't know when, but I know what happened. See, when we went from funerals where everybody was mourning the loss and we switched to memorial services, the perspective changed. And now instead of a funeral, instead of focusing on the loss, now the loss still occurred, but instead of focusing on the loss, the memorial service focused on the life that the person lived, the joy that the person brought. And I noticed something about the services. It was totally different. Everybody wasn't dressed in black. Everybody wasn't crying and wailing and mourning. There was some crying, but for the most part, it was an upbeat. It was a different experience. And the only reason why it was different is because the perspective was different. Nothing changed. The person's still not here physically, but the perspective was different. And because his perspective is different, everything's different. Perspective is everything. And so this week, I want to challenge you because we all are going through our trials and tribulations. And how you view those things dictate how you're going to get through it. You can view things in a negative way. And I promise you, it's going to take a lot more energy from you. is going to hurt a lot more than it should. And you're not going to be able to get through or get to where you're trying to go. Oftentimes, when we have a negative perspective, we're not going to be successful. At least we're not going to do what we want to do. Because how can you go in two directions at the same time? And so negative perspective allows you to go in a negative direction. Oftentimes, that's not where we want to go. We want to go in a positive direction. But we're conflicted, right? We have this inner conflict where we want to go in one direction, but our perception is in another direction. It's like driving forward looking backwards. And as you're driving forward looking backwards, what do you think is about to happen? You're going to crash into something. You're going to hit something. And then what happens when you crash into something, now all of a sudden you want to look forward to see what you crashed into. And then when you turn and then you just turn right back around, focusing on the rear, and then you blame the rear for what just happened. It's all about perspective. What are you looking at? Are you looking at the things in the past? Are you looking at the things that you lost? Or are you looking at the lessons that were gained during that time? Are you looking at the possibilities in the future? See, those two lottery winners both had the same exact thing happen to them, and they had the same exact opportunities. The only difference was the way they looked at it. And because one of them looked at it as more money, more problems, he experienced more money, but more problems. And the more problems took away his peace, his joy, his happiness that he may have thought that money was going to bring. Because at the end of the day, it's not about the money. It's about how you perceive. It's your perception. You could think more money, more problems, or more money, more blessings, right? It's really up to you. And so I want to urge you. I don't know what you're going through, right? And we all are going through something. I heard a pastor, Keith Battle, say, you're either in a storm, going to a storm, or just coming out of a storm. That's like the phases, right? And so we're either going through something, we've been through something, or we're about to go into something. And so, but in that, I urge you to challenge your perspective. Make it a practice. And how do you do that? So, this is a practice that I always encourage people to do. All right. So, and it helps to become self-aware of what you're thinking about, what you're perceiving. And so what I encourage people to do is just take a minute, literally 1 minute, and sit down and just think about what you're thinking about. And the way you do that is you sit quiet, ideally without any distractions. And we're only talking about a minute. So I'm not talking about an hour, 30 minutes, 1 minute. Put your phone down. Find a place where you're not distracted, and time yourself for 1 minute. And for that 1 minute, all you do is just observe, make an observation of what's going on in your head, the thoughts that you're thinking, the things that you're thinking about. Don't do a value judgment. Don't try to guide your thoughts. Just allow your mind to run and observe it. Because oftentimes, here's the thing, right? We don't take the time to observe where we are. You know, the guy who is saying more money, more problems, if you came to him and said, man, you're looking at it the wrong way, he will be able to prove to you that he's not. He'd be able to prove to you all these family members that they never came to me. Now all of a sudden they want to come to me. Now all of a sudden my church cares about me. Now all of a sudden my pastor knows me on a first name basis. Now he will be able to prove to you that he's not right, that he's not wrong. He'll be able to prove it to you. Right? So the thing is, you want to sit down and you want to observe it. You want to observe those thoughts, not putting a value judgment, not guiding those thoughts. You want to observe it. And then you want to question every thought. Is this what I really want to be thinking? Is this true? Because once you sit down and evaluate it, now you can see where you are. Now you can see where you are. And one of the hardest things for us is to realize where we are. And so take the time, see where you are real quick. 1 minute, evaluate where you are. And then you have to make a decision. See, here's the thing about perspective. He's not wrong. More money, more problems. He's not wrong. But that's almost the reality that he has created. More money, more problems. That's his perspective. That's his reality. The other person has a totally different perspective. Now, just imagine if the two people met and the more money, more problems person was giving the other person advice. How different would their experience be? How different would the advice be? Man, I wouldn't trust I wouldn't trust no new friends, man. Matter of fact, you might want to stop going to church, man, or you may want to find a new church. You may want to move so can't nobody find you. You may want to change your name. He's going to tell this dude all different things based on his experience, which is based on his perspective. While the other guy's like, no, man, isn't this great? We get to help out. Like I found cousins that I didn't know I had. It's all about perspective. And so you have to be able to sit down and evaluate where you are so you could decide where you want to go. You could go negative. That's up to you. Or you could decide to go in a different direction. That's also up to you. Here's the beautiful thing about this. It's up to you. It's your perspective. Can't nobody give it to you. Can't nobody change it for you. It's yours. And so that's the practice. Sit down for a minute, just 1 minute. Take 1 minute, evaluate what you're thinking. And as you do, well, how do I think about what I'm thinking? Be the observer of your thoughts, Eckhart Tolle, right? Observe your thoughts. Sit down. Okay, why am I thinking? What am I thinking? What am I thinking? What am I thinking? What am I looking at? Why? What am I focusing on? What am I hearing? Okay. Is this what I want to be thinking about? Is this what I want to be focused on? Okay. Is this valuable to me? Is this something that I want to be doing right now? Because once you do that, now you can decide because now that you know where you are, you can decide where you want to go. Perspective is the key to life, the key to a happy life or a miserable life. It's all perspective. It's all perspective. You ever wonder why there are people in a third world country struggling to get water, yet you can go there and find happy people? You can find people smiling. You can find people dancing. You can find, but they're struggling to get water. Why? Perspective. Now, if we went there and were struggling to get water, our focus would be on water. So our perspective would be a little different. Their perspective is different. It's all about perspective. It's not about what you're going through. It's about how you perceive what you're going through. So, on that note, take some time this week, observe your thoughts, and guide your perspectives to which way you want them to go. All right. Well, on that note, I'm Jared Jones. I'm your mental health coach, and I'll see you next time. Peace.